Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
No throttle.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Nerd Ledger. I'm playing an intro song for the first time on the
Are you
podcast.
playing right? Are
Yeah.
you playing right now?
Yeah, it's playing right now. Yeah,
It's actually playing like while we're talking.
it's playing while we're talking. Yeah, it is.
Oh, wow. I bet this is
Wow.
so annoying to the
Yeah,
average person.
Chair can't hear it because it's playing on the computer through the speakers, and so it's picking up on the desktop audio. It's not playing through the Discord call, so it's over now. But yeah. Anyway.
Oh, we were supposed to wait.
No. We're not supposed to wait. You kind of just talk over it anyway. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
that's why it's there. But yeah.
How's Manchester United doing?
Season starts this weekend. We don't play till Monday. When I say we, I mean they. I'm not part of the team.
That's a good way to think about it. We're part of we now too. So because again, the Pokemon game I play, you do Pokemon battles like on the pitch or whatever. So yeah, we're united in that. But this is the Nerd Ledger. I'm Chair. This is Cage, and we occasionally talk about nerd stuff.
And this is Chase. He's chilling here.
And I was showing my dog, but she's way too big in the camera, and she's also crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, welcome everybody. We got some cool things to talk about today. I'm pretty sure you haven't seen Barbie.
No.
But
I haven't had
did.
a chance. I'm going to soon. I really want to see Oppenheimer. I'm going to see Oppenheimer first because I really want to see that because it looks like epic and like interesting and historic and all that kind of good, depressing and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'll do a brief kind of like discussion about Barbie because there's been a lot of discourse, I guess, around it. So no spoilers when I talk about it, but that'll come up. There's some nerd news, not a whole bunch, and then kind of building on what we were talking about last week with Secret Invasion and the poor taste it left in a lot of people's mouths. We'll talk about the MCU and the Disney Plus shows as a whole, like not all the movies, just the Disney Plus shows to see, kind of determine whether we think they've been successful or not, what the goal is, why they keep making them, if they should keep making them, things like that. But first, I went to jiu-jitsu on Saturday for the first time ever.
How was that?
Well, it's interesting. I did wrestling for a long time. So there's like certain things I'm familiar with, but jiu-jitsu is just completely different in a lot of ways too. Yeah. And so like they're running you like through like these little paces kind of things. Like it's the first time I ever did it, and so like like at the beginning you do kind of like these little whatever like warm up conditioning things where like you're doing like break falls and rolls and all this stuff. And like I never did any of that before, so like I'm learning it. And then
learning how to hit the mat and stuff after someone throws you.
Yeah, and so
super important skill.
And so then he's like, all right, we're going to do shots, right? Not like shots alcohol, but like taking shots where you like, go to take someone down, which is a crossover wrestling. I'm very familiar with that, right? Yeah. And so I have a great shot. But here's the thing. I've only ever done shot practice wearing wrestling shoes. Never barefoot.
So you slipped and fell like an idiot?
No, I didn't slip and fall. When I wear wrestling shoes, I drag my foot. I burned the top of my feet so bad. Oh. They were oozing liquid. Oof. And then, so when I came home, like, I cleaned it or whatever, I bandaged it. But then the next day on Sunday, like, it seemed better. I was like, all right, like, I'm just going to go run an errand in the morning. So I put on socks without a Band-Aid. And nice. I wore them all fucking day.
Nice.
And when I took off my sock,
one-way trip to infection, bro.
I didn't do it slowly because I'm glad I didn't do it slowly. But I took off my sock and my foot had oozed so much liquid that solidified and stuck to the sock. I ripped off a bunch of skin off the top of my foot.
Nice.
And started bleeding everywhere.
Nice.
And so
this is the content people come for.
Yeah.
Gross personal issues.
I ripped off my sock and I just went, ah!
Ow!
And my wife is just like nowhere to be seen. She doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't even hear me. I was like, whatever. Like, it's fine. Yeah. I'll just bleed all over the floor. I cleaned it up. Don't worry.
Clean it up and get the sock washed. Hopefully you wrapped it properly now.
I just keep putting Band-Aids on it with some I clean it, with some peroxide and some Neosporin throw the Band-Aid on there and shit. But
Yeah, no, getting burns like is no fun. Like from material burns. Like I've had rope burn before from a boat slipping on boat rope. That's happened to me a couple times. It burns like all the time.
oh yeah, I had that from it's I don't know. Like this story annoys me because like it's just irritating when you tell somebody like don't do this because something bad will happen and then they do it. And in this case, it was when I was young, when I was like 15 or 16. We had a dog, and it was on one of those leashes that like when like it extends or whatever,
Yeah.
And I said to the person holding the leash, "Yo, make sure you're holding it tight, put the lock on because he's gonna run, and it's not like you need to control the dog."
Yeah.
And they didn't do that, and the dog saw something, started sprinting, and it zipped across the back of my leg and ripped it open.
Nice.
It was awesome. Yeah, I have a big old scar now.
Oh boy. Gotta make an interesting story for that one for sure.
Yeah. So burns are awful, and then like when you go to shower, it's just pain, pain everywhere. So yeah, but. And that happened at the beginning of the jiu-jitsu session. I made it all the way through. Don't worry, guys. I made it all the way through. I didn't let the pain stop me. And I know how to take shots without dragging my foot. I just, didn't figure it out till after I'd already burned holes in my feet. So.
Yep. I'm glad you're recovering. Hope you enjoy jiu-jitsu and you get nice and sweaty rolling around people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's cool to learn and stuff.
Well, it's good to have a strenuous physical activity. Like this weekend, like I took open houses off this weekend, so I want to take Artemis on a really long walk. So like I'm gonna get up, and I have to get up at 6 to go for right for the walk. So
yeah,
I just got to do it because I haven't done it in a long time, and I feel really bad for the dog.
Yeah, I'm just happy with the gym. Like I don't need like combat sports.
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of people like combat sports for various reasons, but the gym is enough therapy for me, to be honest. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. It was fun. I'll probably go again, but I don't know. Like, it's very expensive to do jiu-jitsu, apparently. So, like when I went, I guess it was like I don't know. It's just like a free trial kind of thing, I guess, or something. I don't know.
For what?
For jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
Like pretty much like what I was told, because I went with my brother-in-law. It's weird to say. I've never said that phrase before.
No. There you go. It's a good source, a good way to meet someone.
Well, yeah. But so I went with him because like my wife's brothers, who are my brothers-in-law, like moved out closer recently, and so he asked me to do jiu-jitsu with him, and I was like, oh sure, well yeah, I'll do jiu-jitsu. And apparently like it was free to go this time, but like I guess like you need a membership and stuff, and it's like $150 a month, and I'm just like, yo,
that's a lot of money.
I have a deal.
Yeah, no problem. That's a lot of money.
That is not in the budget.
Yeah.
I mean, I could afford it technically, but I don't want to afford it.
Yeah, especially if you already have your outlet for physical activity in the gym and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I go to the gym for free, so.
Yeah.
But yeah. Also, real quick, huge shout out. While we were offline, we got a follow on Twitch from Genealogy, someone I know in real life.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've known her for a long time. We don't like hang out or anything but she was. I met her through a comic book store that I went to frequently. She was good friends with one of the workers, and I became friends with some of the people that worked there as well. So like I'd see her outside of the comic book store. I'd see her at conventions, or like we'd go to like parties or whatever, like mutual things. Like so she's always been real cool. And I posted that we were going to be going live today on Instagram, and she was like, oh shit, like send me a link. And so she followed, and that's really cool. And I really appreciate that. And to everyone else who's followed as well, like even people like Ryojin and stuff, like it means a lot. Like just know, like we know you guys don't have to support us, you don't have to follow us, like, and even if you don't watch or listen to the podcast, like it still means a lot that you just even cared enough to follow. Like, you don't have to do
Yep.
that, and so
Yep. This podcast for me and Cage basically just catch up for the week. That's basically it.
yeah,
Yeah. But it's fun though because like, one of the best podcasts usually when just people hanging out that are like having chemistry or something. So
absolutely, yeah.
cool.
So, all right,
Back in my chair. Oh.
guys, I saw Barbie.
All right, go ahead and hit us with it.
My wife wanted to see it with some friends, and so that involves me, of course. And so yes,
Yep.
I saw Barbie, and what I'll say is that it's not a movie necessarily for me. Just like comic book movies aren't necessarily for everybody, right?
Yeah.
It was fine. It wasn't bad, or like I didn't think it was bad in any way. Like there's one thing that really annoys me about it, and it's not because of it being this movie. I hate it in all media, like all TV shows, all movies, and it's something I'm very consistent with. So nobody come after me for this shit. Chair knows I talk about this all the time. I can't stand voiceover in anything. And so this narration thing, it's just annoying. To me it's like weak storytelling. Again, stories should, or like movies, TV shows, their form is to show you things, not to tell you things. And this movie seemed like it wanted to tell me things and not really show me things.
Yeah.
Which again, that's just my thing. That's not a problem for most people. For the people who complain about it being anti-man and anti-patriarchy and blah blah blah, you're coming to your own conclusions based on your own experience. And again, I'm not here to tell you how to feel or how to think about anything. I think this movie does a very good job of capturing a lot of women's experiences while also acknowledging that men have experiences. And it balances well, like kind of the lore and history of Barbie, while integrating its own meaningful messaging, I guess. Again, you don't have to agree with that. Again, no spoilers, but there's scenes where like women get catcalled, right? And like I think for some men, the inclination in those moments is to go, that doesn't happen anymore. Nobody does that. This is just man-hating propaganda and this and that. And I get where that comes from. My only advice would be to, in moments where your inclination is to deny experiences for people that you're not, take a moment to try to understand, or right, because ultimately, what if I talk to someone who was like that, I think the bottom line is we would both end up saying, yeah, women shouldn't be catcalled, right? We would both say, yeah, that's a bad thing, right? You can get to that conclusion and acknowledge it without having to say, well, but it doesn't happen. Because sure,
it's like the whataboutism like that's taking place in the modern age is people just
right,
looking for a reason to hate something. Like,
I mean, it doesn't happen, say, maybe as much statistically as it happened 50 years ago, but you can't say it doesn't happen. There are women who this happens to every day still, right? Like, you can't deny someone else's experience. And there are plenty of women who never had that experience. And that's okay too, right? Like, you just have to acknowledge that there are things that happen, and you can, even if you think they don't, you don't have to say that out loud. You can just say, well, that's still bad, right? And so I think it's important for really like people to go into things with an open mind. But again, we talked about this with Secret Invasion. Sometimes you want to go to media to escape. And if you're looking to escape the real world, this is not the movie for you.
Yeah.
Because again, the messaging is very is there for people who have these kind of adult perspectives on things. For children, right? There are elements of this movie that aren't really for children. Like, I don't know if I would recommend bringing like an 8-year-old to see this movie because of some of the subject matter. But they're not gonna have the same worldview and perspective as us old or more jaded people. They're gonna have a much different viewpoint, and to them, it's just gonna be a fun movie, right? About fun things. So yeah, that's overall my thoughts. Ryan Gosling, of course, is fantastic. So There's that. And yeah, Margot Robbie is she's in everything. She's in everything, but she's a great Barbie. So no
No,
complaints.
Margot Robbie's great. She's great as Harley Quinn. Like, she really goes 110% into whatever she's doing. She was really great in the Wolf of Wall Street. Like, the character she was playing was awesome. Yeah.
I never saw that movie. I just saw the scene where she's nude.
Yeah, there's that. But like the rest of it, she's like really manipulative and controlling. And her and Leonardo DiCaprio have some really intense scenes that are really, really well. Like, it's like really classic levels of acting.
Yeah.
And like it's so intense, like it feels like real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I will say I didn't look up the scene where she's nude. One of my friends showed it to me, and I don't even remember it, and I haven't looked it up since. And Margot Robbie is incredibly beautiful, so don't think I'm just some weird pervert looking for nude women. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we all like, as dudes, hey, we like what we like. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, I mean, I got chicks.
yeah.
No doubt about that. And when you have, an army of personal trainers, it's really easy to be hot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't say like don't go see this movie or oh my god this movie hates men. Like again, people there are a lot of very insecure people who will think that everything they say in this movie about women is a slight on men, and it's not that way at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys want to see it, go see it. But that's my my thoughts on that. So.
Yeah, I think what you said, like, I have the feeling, I already have, like, the feeling locked in, because, I've been spoiled by nature of being on the internet for this movie, because everyone wanted to talk about it. And all I have to say is, like, what you said at the beginning, I think is probably pretty important, which is, like, this movie wasn't, like, made for you specifically. Like, you are now the target audience of this movie. It's just, like, fact. And, like, that sometimes that, like, makes people upset when they're not, like, the target audience all the time.
Right.
Like seeing, seeing Red. The Pixar movie. It was great. It was a great Pixar movie, but man, like it really wasn't made for me.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of both Barbie and Pixar, right? This is something we talked about previously as well, because around mid-June, late June, we had the phenomenon of of the Flash.
Yeah,
and so
phenomenon.
We talked about how poorly like movies were performing at the box office, and I kind of speculated on why maybe movies weren't doing so well. So you had The Flash. The only one that really seemed to do well was Across the Spider-Verse. But then we had Elemental, right? Pixar's newest movie. And all the news around Pixar's movie Elemental was that it had like the second worst opening of all time for a Pixar movie. It's gonna fail at the box office and flame out and all this stuff. And nobody really ever heard anything else about it from there. It's actually done very well at the box office. It made almost $500 million.
Good.
And so, and this is interesting. Like it comes back to the surface to me because Barbie just crossed $1 billion in 17 days. Oppenheimer is doing fantastic. The Meg 2, right? The giant shark movie, where the first one wasn't even very good, was made like $100 million plus in its first weekend. Like we almost went and saw it. Me and my wife and I, we were gonna do a date night, and like all the seats were pretty much sold out. Like
for Elemental?
For the Meg 2.
Oh yeah, I see a lot of people trying to see the Meg 2. A lot of people, the Meg 1 was kind of like a cult classic.
It was I saw it. It was just bad.
Oh well,
but yeah,
classic.
I mean, but still,
some
like
people bad is good.
When you see like this kind of phenomenon that we were thinking was happening a couple months ago, where people just aren't going to the movies, whether they're too expensive.
I'm gonna close my door really quick.
That's all good. Like when you're seeing those things, you kind of like are like, well, people just maybe aren't just going to the movies anymore, or whatever it is. Like The Flash was easily explainable why it wasn't doing well, but like at the time, Elemental, it seemed like odd. Pixar like does a fantastic job. Why are people not going to see Elemental? And so it seemed like people maybe just weren't interested in going to movies anymore. But that's this month has proved that's not the case at all.
Yeah, no, actually, I don't like. I haven't been able to see Oppenheimer yet because every time I try and go my usual times, like they're always so full. Like the theater's almost always sold out, and then I don't like going to a crowded theater because usually this time around it's like summer break. There's still like parents trying to take their kids out to be entertained every single day.
Yeah,
so,
go to the IMAX theater in Sacramento that has the one of the 13 700 millimeter or whatever 70 millimeter screens in the whole United States.
Oh, there we go. Do you want to go? Flip the bill?
maybe.
Yeah.
I heard Oppenheimer gets boring, but
Well, it's a biopic, so like that's just what I think people will say.
yeah.
You need like special glasses for when you do IMAX, right? Or is it just sitting back in like a giant theater?
It depends on the nature of it. Like I think IMAX in general, you shouldn't need glasses, but for 3D you need glasses, and I don't care about 3D.
Yeah, I always thought it was kind of a dumb gimmick.
Yeah, it is. Bro, I remember going to see the third Hobbit movie, and they were showing it, right? Like I never see 3D, and so I went to see it in regular like 2D. But they started playing the 3D version in our theater. Everybody was so pissed, and then they had to restart the movie like 5 minutes in.
That's how funny.
Yeah. But yeah, that's that conversation, I guess. There is some nerd news going on. I don't remember much of it. What the why is all this stuff so old? Oh, this was an interesting one. Because again, you and we're just so smart. All right, guys. We're not. I'm not stroking our egos here. I'm not being
gigantic Chad brains.
I'm just saying, when we talk about things, we hit things on the nose, okay?
Absolutely.
We talked about Andor, right?
Yep.
And during that talk, again, this will have some spoilers, so if you haven't seen Andor, then don't, whatever. Anyway, spoilers. We talked about Kino Loy, who's played by Andy Serkis, because he can't swim and they're escaping, and he had to jump into the water. And we talked about, like, do we think he's dead? Like, it doesn't matter, etc., etc. Well, Andy Serkis has been asked about the same thing recently. So he was asked if Kino Loy will return in season 2 of Andor, and he said there weren't really many discussions about the afterlife of Kino. All that we know is that he survives. I mean, we don't see him die. We see him left for a further life of the character. So, yeah, he is potentially alive, and we may see him again. I like the idea better that you kind of let the audience either assume he's dead or assume he made it. And, like, then you can have these fun discussions about, like, if he survived, what he's doing, where he's going. Like, we may never see him again, but maybe, like, he found a wife on another planet, like, or a husband or whatever. Like, maybe he adopted some, like, troglodytes or some shit. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe he became a Tusken Raider.
Yeah, it always just makes me sad because then, like, when stuff like this comes out, you're just kind of like, oh, no, I can't have fun with my imagination anymore. But it is what it is. You gotta respect the artistic visions, I guess, or some shit. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Also, interesting.
Man, Andor was so good. Wish I could watch it again. Wish I could dump it on my brain and watch it again. Just like the freaking first season of Daredevil, bro. Oh my god. You remember the first season of Daredevil came out? Even my parents watched it. They're like, wow, this shit's really good.
Yeah, Daredevil's crazy good.
Yeah. Sorry, just two old men here being nostalgic, guys. Don't mind us.
Yeah. Also, Ahsoka comes out in 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yep. Ready.
And apparently, if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, during the first week Ahsoka is airing, you'll get special access to Ahsoka merchandise on Disney.com. Which
great, I love it.
There's some
Human
cool
horror
shit.
Is behind my comprehension.
There's some cool shit coming. Okay, legacy lightsabers for Ahsoka.
Yeah.
If they're on sale, I'll buy them. If not, then I'm gonna be depressed. But
don't ever go to Star Wars Trading Post at downtown Disney, brother. They'll eat you alive over there. Like that freaking Darth Vader helmet. I'm pretty sure if you were there in person, you probably would have got it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe. No, it was like $400, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was $450.
Jesus. Oh no, that pains me. I couldn't do that.
It was a 1/1 scale replica of Darth Vader's destroyed helmet, perfectly remade.
I would strongly consider losing some of my savings, but I don't know if I could actually pull the trigger. So
it was pretty big. That was pretty big, though. I couldn't carry that thing forever.
Yeah. But
I got my lightsaber though. It was worth it.
Yeah. It wasn't that much, was it? Is it?
I can't remember now. I think it was like $150 or something like
Oh, yeah,
that.
that's
The
not
lightsaber.
bad. That's not
But
bad.
it feels pretty. It feels really heavy duty and stuff like that. Like you get a little 20-minute really jerk you off. Like wow, there's the freaking Master Yoda chimes in and he's like, oh, there's someone's wrong with the Force here. Like oh man, maybe it's me. He's like
This one was more. This one was almost $300. Mace Windu's.
yeah. Well, that was probably solid steel. Like the ones you get like it's part plastic, part metal,
Oh, yeah.
and
This
there's
one's
like a
all
little
steel.
bit, and like there's a lot of vinyl too. There's a lot of vinyl. So, but it has a gyro inside, so that works pretty good. For like so you can like swing the saber and stuff, and it detects the swing. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, in other news, I'm sorry to tell people who have been speculating about Mephisto since WandaVision. Apparently, he won't appear in Agatha Covenant of Chaos, which apparently before he was supposed to. Who cares?
Isn't he supposed to be in She-Hulk because of that one hot blonde chick that
Bro.
was like, I made a deal with a demon or whatever in that Mephisto's demon or
Madison.
yeah, Wongers.
Yeah. No, I don't know if that was Mephisto or not. Yo, there's so much news missing. What the fudge? Oh, okay. I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm just gonna talk about the headlines of it. But Bob Iger is trying to go to war with the writer strike and actor strike or something. Like he said, he's like single-handedly gonna stop it, which is just absurd. But
Yeah.
hey, it is what it is. Wait, did this shit not update? What the fuck? Motherfucker. Oh my god. I posted live now, for our thing on Instagram, and it didn't even fully upload. What?
Oh man.
Yeah, it's still
It's a
uploading.
fail.
Anyway, I don't give a shit. People can come late when we're done.
Yeah. Or they can show up and watch after. They can watch a VOD. Man, they can subscribe and they can pay for the VOD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was something else. There was a Jonathan Majors update,
Boy.
but I want to get it right, so I'm looking it up.
Yeah, this writer's actor strike is just like, I think you keep saying, like, we both said, we're not going to feel the effects until, like, 3 or 4 months from now, and then it's all going to hit us at once, when there's, like, nothing to talk about, like, after, because, like, pretty sure the entire last quarter of this year has already been canceled entertainment-wise. And I'm not just talking, like, guys, I'm not just talking, like movies, I'm talking, like, TV shows and, like, commercials and, like, stuff. You might start seeing like AI commercials or something. I don't know, by the end of this year because they don't have enough people to make the commercials, so they just have these shitty AIs do it.
Yeah.
Wow, a wild world right now. Strange times. How's it going over there with the Jonathan Major update?
The fuck? I'm trying to find a legitimate source. I want to make sure that I don't get this wrong. Because so essentially, right, the update is his trial is postponed. So I just wanted to get like the nuance of like when it's postponed to. But like one of the things I initially clicked on said like his accuser fled the country or something. So I want to make sure that I verify these things because I don't know if that site is legit or not. So
yeah.
All right, I'll just read this. Variety is pretty good. So the domestic violence trial of Jonathan Majors has been delayed to September. The 33-year-old actor returned to court on Thursday for what was supposed to be the start of the trial. That'd be last Thursday. But the prosecution said it was not ready because it's still obtaining discovery. Majors, wearing a gray suit, entered the courtroom holding hands with girlfriend Megan Good. He carried a Bible and notebook as he approached the bench at 9:42 a.m. with his criminal defense lawyer, Priya Chaudhry. Sorry for laughing. I just imagine, like, because his lawyer made such a big deal about how he's a method actor, and he walks in with a Bible. To me, I feel like that's method acting, to be honest, right?
It's the fakest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. He walked into court. Sorry, I was kind of tuned out. You say he was walking to court with a Bible in his hand?
With a Bible.
Like he was physically carrying a Bible with him.
Yeah, the court has those already. You don't have to bring one with you.
Oh man.
She alleged the delays because the prosecutors, quote, weren't timely in turning over evidence. A new trial has been set for September 6th. So yeah, it doesn't say anything here about his accuser fleeing the country. So I'm gonna go ahead and assume that last article was some sort of libel or something. I don't know. But we didn't say that happened. So just saying. Yeah. So there's that, and then there was also the news that Marvel hadn't made a decision on Jonathan Majors yet, which of course they fucking haven't. If they had, they'd announce it. Dumb shits. Like, not necessarily that they'd announce it, but like, it's not news to say they haven't made a decision. That's not news.
Yeah.
Like we obviously we as fans or whatever of Marvel, MCU, whatever, we know there hasn't been a decision because we haven't heard anything. But I mean,
Yep.
they may have made one, but we're not aware of it. So it's ex facto not me.
Yeah, their hands are kind of tied. Like it's really jarring to switch characters, to switch actors out when you have them pretty locked in. Like Ant-Man and the Lost Quantumanium pretty much locked Jonathan Major in as like Kang, and like he's got the part, he's got the costume, he's got everything all set up for him.
Well, not to mention that when they hired him and saw how he performed in Ant-Man before the movie came out, they changed their whole slate to focus more around Kang because of how good he was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's tough. It's tough for Marvel right now. But speaking of Marvel, we'll just get to the headline act, okay, guys? The MCU Disney Plus shows. This is something we wanted to talk about, just to kind of discuss how we feel about them, what their quality is, if they're worth it, if we feel like they've been a success or a failure, etc. And if you want to speak, I'll let you speak.
I mean, it's just been so hit and miss, and I really feel like it was kind of damaging to like the veneer of the MCU in their own special ways. I feel like a lot of them would have done a lot better as movies. And I bet now they're wishing that they had made them into movies rather than making them into Disney Plus shows because, like, they would have been able to pad their schedule a little bit because of the strike. I just don't. I didn't really like Secret Invasion. I thought it was kind of boring. I thought they got rid of the tension of who is and who isn't a Skrull right away. Like that was never an issue, even though that was supposed to be the whole theme of the thing. And like you're right, it was like just a Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson run around being Nick Fury piece. I just everything else in that movie is really stiff and boring, and like there were some cool action scenes, and that's really about it. Like and She-Hulk was okay. It wasn't amazing. Like and,
yeah,
you could say the same.
You could say that
the same
about
about all these
almost
shows.
every
All of
MCU
them.
show, except for maybe WandaVision. But even
Yeah,
that
WandaVision-
one,
WandaVision was experimental. Like they were trying to do something different. Like and it paid off. And Loki, I forgot about Loki. Loki was good. Loki's the only one I liked. The first season of Loki was awesome because it was carried really good by I feel like really strong character acting from Olsen. Like I feel like it's really weird because you wouldn't expect them to have such great chemistry, but like Olsen, like who played Moby's skin? Joel Olsen.
what? Owen Wilson?
Owen Wilson, yeah.
Oh, Owen Wilson plays
Mobius or whatever.
Yeah, Mobius and Tom Hiddleston, of course, is Loki.
Yeah, they have really great chemistry, and it's like really surprising. And again, like it was very experimental, it was very strange, it was very weird. Like She-Hulk was like that too, but it was like much more on the nose. Like they even broke the fourth wall, which kind of ruins the show in its own special way. Breaking the fourth wall always ruins the show. And like I don't know, Secret Invasion was trying to be so serious.
Yeah, I feel like
I just can't get over that scene of when he sat in front of the president's hospital room, like on that chair, and like he swung his like trench coat out, and he like took a like pose with his like pistol. It was just the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I thought it was supposed to be like a spy movie or something like that, and it's just not a spy movie, spy show, and it's just dumb. Like it was just really dumb and pointless.
I feel like the MCU Disney Plus shows they're kind of victims of their own purpose in a way. And by that I mean like the purpose of these shows is to kind of bridge the gap between movies. And like that makes them almost meaningless in the way that you don't need to watch them to fully understand anything that's going on in the movies, except maybe WandaVision for Doctor Strange 2. But even then, they do a fair job of explaining it within the movie. And so as a result of that, you get two kinds of people. You either get people who won't watch the shows because they know they don't matter and will still watch the movies, or you get people that will stop watching the movies because they think they need to watch all the shows, which they don't have time to do, so they won't continue to watch the movies until they have time to catch up on everything else.
Yeah,
and that
Secret Invasion, I feel like you're gonna need to watch the Secret Invasion to understand what's going on in the Marvels.
Or you won't, and you'll just say, "Wow, what a pointless show," right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's bad on both levels for Marvel in the way that the people who skip the shows and keep watching the movies, well, Disney is losing that revenue from those people watching those shows because they probably don't care to subscribe. And the people who stop watching the movies because they think they need the shows, well, you lose them on both fronts then. Like it's bad doubly for Marvel, I think. And so you either need to make the shows into like something like Werewolf by Night, something like an hour and a half or an hour long thing on Disney Plus to help bridge those gaps between the movies that you want to accomplish. Cut out a lot of that fat in some of these shows and release them like that. Or because you need to make them meaningful, you need to, because again, if you're looking at like doing 4 or 5 shows a year, like 3, 4, whatever, right? Because like last year was Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Ms. Marvel. That's 3 shows. That's 18 episodes. Wait. No, She-Hulk was like 12 episodes. It was a long ass season. So that's what 30 something episodes, right? Of a show in a year, or of shows in a year. And then if people need to watch those, if they're important, they're going to stop watching the movies because they want to catch up, and not everybody has time to watch all those shows. And so if you want to make them important and want people to watch them, you need to do something like making a short 1 hour and a half, 2 hour Disney Plus exclusive movie show, whatever, because it's easier to watch 2 hours of content than it is to watch 7 or 8 hours of content. And so I think that's one way they could go. The other way is to just not do the shows anymore, right?
Yeah.
Because like Miss Marvel, you may need bits of that to watch the Marvels, but probably not. To be honest, probably not. Like I'm sure they'll explain it well enough within the Marvels so people understand who Kamala Khan is and what's going on, right?
Yeah.
At least they should. Because if they don't, then that's just bad movie making, right? Yeah. So there's that. I don't think, to be honest, Secret Invasion will be that relevant. I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do, but I don't think it'll be that relevant. And then you think about like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like that's not, how relevant is that gonna be to Captain America 4? Probably not very. Like it's supposed to bridge that gap between Endgame where Sam gets the shield and Captain America 4 where Sam is Captain America, but without that middle part you're still not going to be lost. Like you're still going to be able to watch that movie and understand it, right? Yeah. And again, Captain America Falcon and Winter Soldier was a decent Disney Plus series. I think it fell apart at the end a lot, but there's a lot of very good stuff in that, in that series. And I
watched those first couple episodes and they were really enjoyable. I like that guy who played Baron Zemo a lot. Like he was in All's Quiet on the Western Front, and he was like speaking German, and he was just obviously a really gifted actor, and I feel like we'll be seeing more of him like in the coming years.
Yeah, I mean, and even that, right? Like that series sets up a lot for like Thunderbolts and other things to come, but who knows if you actually need to see it for that, right? Like a lot of the stuff they do in the show isn't going to be relevant to the future movies. It gives you more time with these characters. It allows you, like in that series, right? The boat restoration thing that Sam and Bucky did, like, sure, right? Sure. Yeah. Like that's cool. Baron Zemo getting his mask is cool. Some of the backstory with Sharon Carter, sure, but like you're not going to need all of that, and like it's not going to be as relevant moving forward. So it's a tough position for them to be in. I think creatively that's what they want, though, is they think ideally watching these shows will enhance someone's experience with the future movies while not detracting from other people's experience that haven't watched those shows.
Yeah.
But, it's a problem when they're not necessary and people aren't watching them, or they're not watching the movies because they think they are necessary.
Yeah. And it sucks that they're in this position because you think you would want to be able to review them based on their own merit, not how they connect to the greater MCU or anything like that. But it's just because of the nature of the MCU, like, they're compared, and it's hard for them. It's hard to stand on your own to have your own solid literary foundation for your story when you have to tie in all these other several aspects that are often in some cases flawed. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And You know, I just think for the whole streaming thing, like, you know, there's a recession coming. Everyone's forecasting a recession. I think there's a commercial real estate apocalypse on the way, like, you know, all
We
that
are
kind of
in a
stuff.
recession.
Yeah, we're already in recession, but I think it's going to get much worse. Like, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that with that, I think there's going to be a big tech stock crash too, because I think a lot of these, like, you know, like, do you DoorDash at all, ever?
No, I hate DoorDash.
Okay, yeah, none of my friends, like, I have a lot of friends that are our age, like, you know, I know a couple of people, and none of them DoorDash because none of them can afford it, and my parents don't DoorDash, and, like, you know, so I don't, you know, I just don't, I go down to Panda Express, and their DoorDash thing is almost sitting empty all the time now, and Maria thing
It's
used to
just
be
a
on.
scam. It's a scam.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these companies that people like think are like new, like Uber maybe, might be one on the chopping block. You know, a lot of these companies are going to go under, and I feel like, but that happens, like, you know, studios are going to cut things and they're going to resend. Like Peacock is not doing too hot. Like I heard like that Twisted Metal isn't very good. I don't know. I haven't seen it myself. I think I may check it out at some point if I can, you know, set sail on seven seas to grab it. So I'll probably do that eventually. But yeah, it's a lot of these streaming platforms. I feel like too, they're going to be part of like, you know, that tech crunch that happens. Like, you know, where there's
They'll
a
get
bunch of
bought
tech
out
companies.
by a bigger company. Like,
Yeah.
that's just kind of how
No,
it
no,
works.
I'm just saying like they're. I think, well, you know, Peacock is just a wing of NBC, right? Like it's just a streaming wing of NBC, and
Yeah,
I don't,
yeah, but
I
they'll
just don't feel
sell
like they
off
can
a lot of
sustain
their
it.
things if they can't afford it.
Yeah, but I feel
Because
like
in the
it'll
market you
be
have
on a
to be able
more.
to compete still.
Yeah, but I just feel like they're gonna like, you know, consolidate with Hulu or something like that. You know, like a lot of them are gonna consolidate about the ones that are already there. Like Hulu has a really good thing, and Disney Plus might be one of those things we don't see around either. And like, you know, they just have like the Disney Plus, like instead of you getting Hulu with your Disney Plus, you get Disney Plus with your Hulu.
Well, that's already
You
how
know,
it
it's
is.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think, but it's gonna be more like that. Like, you know, there's gonna be like a section of Hulu.com that you go to that's like the Disney section or something. And this is just me all forecasting and typecast. I don't know. This is gonna be
Well, I
fake
mean,
news. Plus, but
when you have economic times like this is what happens, right? Like
mm,
the small people, right, is how it happens with people, how with companies, everything, right?
mm,
The people on the bottom who can't afford anymore to stay afloat are get desperate, right?
yeah,
And the people at the top, their wealth is accumulating more, right? Like
yeah,
they don't worry about it. And so the people at the top who have all the money will just buy out the desperate people at the bottom
yeah,
and own it, right? And sure, that'll get into other issues with antitrust and stuff moving forward and this and that, at least in the United States, maybe other countries, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the biggest problem that inflation and the recessions are going to cause. I forgot my thought. It just left my
yeah.
brain. It left my brain.
I just thought about it. The problem is like with the people at the top. Like the reason they're at the top right now is because they hold a lot of these tech stocks that are like, you know,
Yes.
that I think that are very overvalued. And I think when there's a tech crunch that goes down there, even the people at the top might get a little desperate. You know,
Yeah.
and just see like
NFTs and
I
all
think
that too. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and see like a real shakeup. You know, maybe for the first time in corporate America, like a real actual shakeup. Like
Yeah,
and just
that's the thing with like Uber and stuff like that. I I think there's still a market for it,
mm,
at least for Uber, right? Uber and Lyft, like there's a market everywhere for
yeah,
it. The biggest problem those companies face is regulation, right? Like
yeah,
it exists already in parts of Italy. There's no Uber or Lyft because taxi drivers striked and fought for regulation against them, right?
yeah,
Like that can happen anywhere. California had a law that they had to change about contractors and stuff, which was really problematic for companies like Uber and Lyft. Not just that, for every other company that hires anybody who's freelance for anything, it was really
yeah,
bad for contractors for a bit here. That got overturned though later. But
yeah.
anyway, it's for a lot of streamers you have to be streaming to compete with other major you know
Networks like
companies. But
that's what I think the shakeup is going to be. The Peacock and like is going to and NBC and a lot of these channels
you'll see
that
more mergers.
they don't have any market power anymore. Like no, like the only people watching Fox News are just people like old people that can't turn off the TV. Like they don't know how. Like
Well,
you know, it's
Fox
weird.
News gets good ratings still though. Like, but I get what you mean. But it still gets good ratings.
What's good ratings compared to like top streamers these days? You know,
Well,
that's
I
like
mean
the thing.
for primetime news, like it's still like one of the top watched news channels primetime all the time.
Yeah.
Like, and CNN was hemorrhaging viewers for a while. And the new CEO, I think he wanted to try to make things more balanced at CNN, and people were really mad about it. And so, people don't want balance. People want what they want.
People want the extremes,
Right.
And
And
CNN, they had CNN Plus and it went under. They shut it down. It was only open for like 6 months and they took it down.
Well, yeah, nobody wants to pay to fucking stream the news.
Yeah, especially when you do it on YouTube for free. Like, it's the thing. Like, I think that YouTube is one of the companies that's going to make it through whatever it is these next couple of years are going to entail, because YouTube, has really adapted themselves to pretty much fit a lot of models.
And they have a good advertising model with how that benefits both viewers and partners, right?
Yeah, I still see new people. I still every day on my YouTube feed, I still see a one view video of some random gamer saying oh, this is my playthrough of this game. I hope you can watch it. They pay.
Yeah, where's our one view? We only get 20 views.
We're not YouTube. We're not YouTubers. We're Twitchers or whatever we call ourselves. We're nerds, bro.
But I post the VOD on YouTube.
Hopefully, it won't cross over.
Also, I posted my great graphic accent on YouTube too.
Yeah, I feel like DoorDash is only going to be in LA. That's why I got to live in a TikTok mansion with a bunch of TikTokers and live off DoorDash gift cards, bro.
Oh yeah, DoorDash. So DoorDash used to be a scam for businesses, right? Businesses were losing money essentially because of DoorDash, but they needed to do it to even stay afloat because of the pandemic and everything, right?
Yeah.
And now because of that, right? DoorDash said, well, we don't want to screw over the restaurants, so we'll just add a premium on every single menu item at the restaurant and then charge fees so we can make money. And then it's just ridiculous. Like, if you go to Taco Bell and your normal order is $15 and you DoorDash it, I guarantee you it'll be $40.
Yeah.
Just drive there. It's down the street, yo.
Well, it's not down the street for me, but,
It's down. Literally, you go down one street and you're there.
For
15 minutes.
For 20 minutes, and then I gotta take a turn. There's a new one on Lone Tree, but.
Wait, don't you just go down Brentwood Boulevard? Isn't it right there?
Yeah, you do know. They were rebuilding for a while, but they're gonna be open soon.
Also, okay, this is a nerd thing. Is there 2 Costco's opening? Because there's one supposed to be opening in Lone Tree this month.
I haven't heard of one opening on Lone Tree. I know they're building one in Brentwood, but I haven't heard of one opening up on Lone Tree. Unless
Yeah, it was supposed to open last week, but
nah, I haven't heard about that.
I think it's by the freeway on Lone Tree. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it. I haven't heard anything about it. So.
They're breaking down the ground and building it up. I know.
Oh.
That's all I know.
Interesting. All right. Anyway, yeah, back to nerd stuff.
Yeah.
I think my dog peed. I don't know. My wife pointed at me and made a face, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's saying, well, you're not talking about nerd stuff. Costco isn't nerd stuff.
Well, I mean, Costco can be nerdy. I'm not a fan of Costco, to be honest. I don't know. I don't get the obsession.
That's where I always bought my Nintendo products. They're really cheap. When you get them, you can get the Switch for $50 or $60 cheaper. At Costco or something
that makes sense. I think for maybe certain electronics, jewelry, clothing, Costco can be good. I'm not a fan of it for groceries because I feel like I have to spend so much money and buy so much product that I don't really need.
Yeah, it's definitely. But it depends too. If you buy a lot of eggs and you drink a lot of milk, and for me, it'd be good for me because I just rely on the essentials. I get a big bag of flour and some salt, and I can make bread and stuff like that. And, then they have a lot. They have a lot of munchies too. That's another thing. And they just have big bags of chicken, you can throw in the oven and stuff. And,
it's too much. Chicken.
Because you're supposed to go to Costco once a quarter, fiscal quarter.
No, but I mean, right? So you buy a bag of chicken, right? It comes with 8 to 10 chicken breasts, right?
Yeah.
But I hate freezing meat. I hate it. And so
no, I'm talking about already frozen chicken cutlets.
I buy fresh chicken. No, so I'll buy refrigerated chicken breasts, right?
It's good to go to Costco if you're expecting to have a lot of people over. in like or if you're going camping, that's another thing. Costco's really good for like you can pull up when you're about to go camping and then just eat all
Yeah.
that stuff while you're out camping having a good time. Like you can get all these things
For me,
right
like
there.
I am an interesting person. No, I'm just kidding. Like for like what I do, like I like to just go to the grocery store, local grocery store, once a week, get everything I need for the week, like $50, and go home and whatever. But at Costco, like you can't leave that place without spending like $150 minimum because everything costs $10 to $20.
Yeah. Well, it's bulk again. Like you're not supposed to go once a week. You're supposed to go to Costco like once a month.
Yeah, but even once a month, that's too much money in one trip for me, yo. I'm so depressed to spend that much money.
I don't know what to tell you, homie. Sounds like a person.
Like I went there recently with my wife, and it was like $180, and she's like under budget. I was like, under budget? What the?
Yeah, that sounds like hell under budget for Costco.
I was like, yo, like that's so much.
You guys get a hot dog at least. That's like the best part.
No, what's funny is we were leaving, and like it's crazy busy. The line was long as fuck. I said, yo, if Chair asked me to get him a hot dog today, I would just tell him they ran out. I am not waiting in this line.
Some people really like those hot dogs.
Yeah.
Boiled
hot
it's all of it
dogs.
too. The churros really good.
I
And the
hate
frickin',
their churros. They're gross.
Yeah. I think their churros are really good.
Their
The pizza's
churros
really
have
good.
no flavor. They're stale and hard. Ugh.
You need to go at the right time when they're just coming out because like they've been sitting under that heat lamp for like 20 minutes. But when they fry them fresh there, so like they make them in the oil there.
Anything fresh is fine, but when I had their churro, it was just bad.
Sometimes it can be really good though.
There's a
So,
churro
like,
food truck out here, like near Natomas. The best churros I've ever had in my life.
Mm.
They came to my work. Like my work sometimes will like hire the food truck, and like you don't have to pay for it. Bro, I swear I ate like 7 churros one day, but they were there. They were so good.
I love churros.
Yeah, they like you can get them like stuffed with like chocolate or caramel or whatever. I didn't get anything. Nope, don't stuff it. Just give it to me.
Yep, just have the churro. That's how I do it.
Yeah, so good. Anyway, I feel like we derailed a little bit.
Yeah, probably. There's not a lot of nerd news because of the writer's strike. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Yeah, but don't worry, Bob Iger will save us. He will end it.
Yeah, he's gonna activate all the chips in the vaccines to instantly code these actors into the 3D matrices, and then they're gonna be AI actors forever. And then he's like, and then you will have all the content you need, and you will be happy while you work. Something like that.
Yeah, there were like more actors who commented on the strikes or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Like,
Ron Perlman, like I pay for Breaking Points. The only new show I pay for is Breaking Points. It's like they just talk about like it's like the best like political spectator. I think like they just talk about all the important topics of the day going on in social media. Like if there's a headline, they're probably covering it that day, right?
mm-hmm.
But they had Ron Perlman on, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, fuck Bob Iger." He literally said, "Fuck that guy, fuck you."
Maybe they should bring Bob Chapek back because I don't think Bob Iger is very good for business right now.
Yeah.
That man seems to be off his rocker. But
maybe he knows what's coming in 3 years. He's like, all right, we're gonna replace all actors forever, and they're not gonna.
I mean, he's a businessman. He's thinking business forward, right? Which is great for business, but businesses are nothing without people. And again, I'm very disinterested in the writers and actors strike. I couldn't give a shit, to be honest. Oh, that was another piece of news. The visual effects people want to unionize.
Good for them. If American workers want to come together and unionize, they're more than served civil rights.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows how well that'll work within the industry if they'll just find other people who are willing to do the work. And I don't know.
The quality of the shooter, and everyone will be mad and angry, but it's just
but to be honest,
nature.
there's thousands of people in college for graphic design and visual arts and all this stuff that their dream is to work for Marvel or Disney or whatever, right? Like, and they'd snap at the opportunity. They're not thinking about unions or fair pay or anything yet. They're just looking for their dream job, And
I don't know. I think some of them are thinking about unions and fair pay, considering the state of American college system these days. It's like kind of the reason why the Starbucks baristas were able to organize so well is because most of them are college educated.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many people that go to college and like their dream job is like to teach, and like you're never gonna pay off your student loans becoming a teacher, right? Like you're never gonna pay off your student loans. I mean, teachers have a union too, but you're never gonna like. There's so many jobs people or like degrees people get that are just fucking useless, right? Like, it's just a waste of money in the end. But not teachers. I'm not talking about teachers, but you know, like.
It's important. Unions are also important too because they make you feel like your voice actually matters, and like, you know, I don't know. It's just like I have one of my closest friends works in tech, and she's like, when they have cuts, it's like someone's walking around with a gun in their hand, shooting people in the back of the head. Like, you know, that sounds like a really intimidating way of like conducting business. I know that's how it's like been for like the last 100 years or whatever, but also like, you know, people are really stressed out and doing a bunch of drugs, and you know, alcoholism is up, and cocaine use is up, and everything else uses up, and there's reason for that because I think. There's a little shadow of mental health crisis in this country because of how we conduct business is a little too stressful.
Well, I think it's also because of how the pandemic's affected everybody's mental health too.
Yeah.
But the argument against that is that if the companies don't lay off some people in hard times, they'll lay off everybody when the company goes bankrupt, right?
Yeah.
And so. Yeah. You know, a lot of companies, if they had unions for the workers, they just wouldn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And people again, like the counter argument to that is, well, if they can't afford that, they shouldn't exist, right? Like people can go back.
I wouldn't say either, but I feel like they should probably reduce their company to a state where they can actually like conduct it in a way where they don't all their employees aren't mad at them all the time. Like, you know, there has to be some, you know, it's the thing. Like I'm first and foremost for people not being unreasonable. And, you know, like when people say we need to upend our entire economic system and change it right away, like I'm like, okay, that's a very unreasonable thing to say.
Right.
But it's just, you know, it's hard because like no one in America likes to find a middle ground. Like, you know, they just like having a big fight and like coming out on top and like being victorious. It's really hard. Like even the business classes like that too. Like Bob Iger, he's like, you know, I'm gonna take it to him. I'm gonna fight this fight. I'm gonna break this union down. Like I'm gonna break their spine. You know, stupid stuff like that. And it's just, you know, I can only imagine what they're saying behind closed doors about them.
Right.
And again, like, you know, this whole AI thing, it really is really scary. Like, guys, like, it is really creepy, like, what our world's going to be like in 3 or 4 years when this AI thing stops, like, making dumb, like, weird images that nobody can understand and starts making things that are, like, really entertaining to view on the daily. Like, it's only a matter of time. Like, it's the beast is unleashed now.
Yeah, it goes back to what you were saying earlier about target audiences, right? Like, Bob Iger... He doesn't care that a lot of people are going to be outraged about him saying he's just going to end the writers-actor strike. So those people aren't his target audience, right? Same with Donald Trump. When Donald Trump says really stupid, moronic things and people all like flame him for it, you think he cares? No, because you're not his target audience. He doesn't give a shit what you think. You're never going to vote for him anyway.
Yeah, and he like thinks like that all his business friends are going to rally around him or something. I don't know. Like, it's the thing. Like, and there's optics. There's like a lot of poor optics these days too. Like, you know, when he gave that speech, like that sit-down interview with CNN, talking about how like the actors and writers were being completely unreasonable from like, you know, his private 200-acre residence with its own golf course on it. You know, it's just optics really do matter, and like I feel like people have forgotten about how optics are, and they now just again poking and prodding people's mental health.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just the disparity between people now is crazy too. Like,
yeah, and you know, like Bob Iger owns a couple of homes, you know, and they're like, you know,
well, and just also just like how people react to things, and like the way people's minds have kind of warped to just being so confrontational, angry about everything, focusing on things that don't matter, forming opinions on things they have no idea what they're talking about or context about. Like,
yeah, like if you try and tell Bob Iger, like people in America are really struggling. Like, you know, the poverty situation in some of the cities in this country is getting really intense to like where I'm myself shares. I'm really lucky in my life to be able to travel to other countries. And like, you know, in other countries, there's like real actual poverty there. And like, you know, sometimes when I'm walking around like San Francisco or LA, like it looks like that. Like real abject, like starving people, like on the side of the streets.
Well, there is that in America too. We just don't focus on.
You know, no, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. Like if you try and tell him that, I'm pretty sure that he would just objectively try to deny you. It's like, no, this country's amazing.
I'm pretty sure he would just say that's terrible, but it's not my problem to fix.
Yeah, and I just.
Which is true, but still, like, you know.
When he owns like multiple couple 100-acre homes, like everywhere, like, you know, in the city with like one of the worst homeless problems in the world, you know, like optics, like it really does matter.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. I mean, well, and that's
And these
that's
guys, you know what? Also, these guys, if these guys put their political and fiscal weight behind what their decisions, they really could change things. They could, but they don't want to
well.
because you know,
This is the biggest fight in America is big business versus big government, right? Both are bad, and people need to understand that. You don't want big government because you don't want government controlling your life, but you don't want big business either because
you don't want big business controlling your life. You know?
well, I mean, you know,
and they do try to control your life. Like company, like their employees, like this whole back to the office thing. Like the employee is doing the work, like, and there's no noticeable drop in productivity.
Did you see the keystroke thing?
No, I didn't.
So I don't have the full story, so don't quote me on this exactly. I just know the overarching story is that a woman was working from home and her company had keystrokes on her computer that determined she wasn't working, and they fired her.
That's so weird.
And I don't know if it's like I don't know the semantics. I don't know if like everybody had to agree. You know, if you're going to work from home, that you have to have keystrokes enabled so that the company can track how you're working and stuff, and everybody agreed to it, and then she got fired. Or if like there's something more seedy going on. I don't know. I don't know any of that.
Only if it was a company issued laptop would I would see that ever being okay.
Also, well, like, most. I mean,
but also
if you're working from home, the company should give you a laptop. You shouldn't have to get your own. I'm pretty sure they can't force you to buy your own laptop. They'd have to either reimburse you or give your company one.
Yeah.
So.
But also, like, you know, just in general, like, again, like, you know, it's just like that's what I never understood. Like a lot of like conservative people, more conservative-minded people in this country, like the way they talk about corporations, like, you know, in the early 2000s, like they're the most amazing thing ever. And I just, you know, what's the difference between the tyranny of a corporation and tyranny of a government? Like, you know, it's just a bunch of people that were able to, like, you know, bootstrangle their way into power. Some of them, like, you know, actually worked hard to get there, but not all of them did. And they just think that they're so smart and that they're at the top because they deserve to be there. They're ordained by God or whatever, and that they're going to be like, you know, all right, I'm the king now. You got to listen to me because I'm in charge.
Well, it's you know, it's a very long discussion to have to talk about why people view businesses that way and why you know it's about the culture of our country and the work-mindedness and working hard and building something and whatever. Like, you know, there's all that goes into it, and that's why there are people that do believe that, like, corporations are these amazing things because they provide jobs, they provide all this stuff, and that's the same reason why our country is built to allow them to do those things through tax breaks and other things, and why in your line of work people buy a bunch of properties who have money and then lease them out as homes to other people and pay no taxes on it because the government views it as providing housing for people.
Yeah, home creation. Yeah.
So
I'm not even get me started. I was at a marketing meeting today, and like, you know, as far as those guys are concerned, all the housing market's great, everything's hunky dory, nothing bad is gonna happen. So fucking stupid, dude. Like they're just heads buried in the sand.
Yep. Something I did here, right? Everybody listening, if you live in California, I don't know if this is true. But someone who works for a wholesale lending company reached out to me.
That was about the new Cal FHA stuff?
It's about possibly the California Dream thing, the program where the government pays 20% thing.
Yeah.
Is potentially coming back in the fall of this year.
Yeah, no. I just got a contact in my email from my letter today talking about it. That they just received communication to stand by. So
yep.
If they're gonna do like $200 million pool or whatever, and you know,
which if you want a home and you can't afford to get into one, Chair can speak on this more. He works in real estate, but I think it's a phenomenal opportunity. You have to get in early. You have to apply like right away because the money will be gone quick.
Yeah, it'll drain quick. There's a lot of young people that are really just. They're married, they have a good source of income, but it's just not enough to make it where they want to make it. And like, you know, people don't like moving away from where they grew up. They want to see their kids go to the same school they went to or whatever. Or
not only that, if you want a decent home that you don't need to put a lot of money into, you're looking at something between $450 and $500K in our area.
Yeah.
And if you only have 3% to put down, you're looking at a $4,000 plus mortgage.
Yeah.
And nobody can afford that. Well, okay, a lot of people can, but a lot of the majority of people can't afford
going up. And rates are still going up because of the credit downgrade. So
yeah, and so this opportunity, getting 20% to put down, your payments going down more than 1,000 a month. You're looking at maybe 2,700 for that house instead, which is way more manageable. And you can get into a house that you actually like, that you want to be in, that doesn't require a bunch of money for repairs and whatever. I don't think there's anything wrong with houses that need repairs, because you're putting equity into those homes to future sell them for more, whatever. But that's the reality of it. You may never be able to buy a home without that 20%. And yes, there's a downside on the back end, but it's so minimal that you shouldn't worry about it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just read up on the program.
And also,
get in
the
early.
whole down end thing, I'll just address right now. Basically at some point, if you make equity on your house, you got to give some of that equity back to the government. And also, but the whole point of this program isn't to make money on the house. It's trying to
it's to get into a house.
It's to make sure that young people can get into homes so they can begin family creation, which is the foundational building blocks of any functional economy.
Again,
sorry, that little rant.
Hey, it's important to understand that you don't have to ever sell that house. So you don't ever have to pay back that money. You can, here you go, since there's a 20% put down, you can rent it out after a year, buy a better house.
Yeah. Or you can just live in it for 30 years, and the program will probably be forgiven at some point, and you can just sell it anyway. And hopefully, by the nature of the economy, everything would have gone up, and you just have a little bit of equity.
Yeah. It depends what your goals are, but whatever your goals are, it suits them. Don't worry. Also, by the way, for anybody at the government listening, I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm just telling you it's a great program. All right. I'm not telling you how to spend your money. I'm not telling you what to invest in. Just
not incentivizing you. I haven't given my name or my DRE or anything.
Just look into the program.
I'm just a guy saying some things.
Yeah, but if you live near the East Bay or around the Bay Area, feel free to reach out to Chair. Well, you don't have any of his contact information, but he works in real estate, so you can always just message through one of our social medias that are in the fucking description or whatever.
And I'm not on social media either, so don't even bother.
Yeah. So.
Reach out to Cage. He'll forward your information to me after some proper vetting.
Yeah.
He's my guy. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So anyway,
we're a little over time, and I want to go chill.
Yeah, gotta chill, gotta eat, gotta do whatever. So, and we also didn't really talk about nerd stuff here. Well, whatever.
No. Sometimes we talk about nerd stuff.
Hey, it's okay. But yeah, thanks everybody who's watched. Anybody who's listening to the podcast version, watching on YouTube, whatever. You can follow, you can like, you subscribe, rate, review, do all those things. Much love to anybody who's checking us out, following all that stuff. Again, huge shout out to anybody who's followed here on Twitch to watch us live. Ryojin, Genealogy. Even one of my coworkers, he followed. I'm sure he doesn't watch, but big love to all you guys. It means a lot, and we'll be back next week. Goodbye.